Why you going to that, Mr. Trump? Oh. Oh, I got two things at the same time. Oh my God. What's going on? Is this good or is it bad? Y'all don't know what the Purple Crowns is? Oh, y'all just woke up out of a coma? Did I miss something? How could we do that? It's clickbait, Mel. You're making it up. It's lies. Shut up. Mr. Trump. Breaking. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Planes able to carry these bunker busting bombs, which are capable
Bombed
potentially, and not definitely, and that's a really crucial point.
Bombs over Baghdad
of taking out the nuclear site. So confirmation that they were involved. Again, this is surprising. I mean, plane watchers have been watching the movement of these B-2 bombers for the past couple of days. Their home base is in Missouri. In the United States, they are sometimes based in Diego Garcia.
Let me read this to you guys first. Who cares about the people in the chat saying clickbait? Kick them to the side. Tell them to go back to sleep. So Trump announced, man. I've been waiting all day to come to you guys. I've been waiting since yesterday. But, you know, it's been kind of quiet, slow. I didn't realize they had a crazy protest in New York, anti-ICE, anti-whatever. Supposedly, I missed it earlier. But President Trump, from the official account, says we have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site of Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now's the time for peace. Thank you for your attention in this matter. So he calls for peace. He's calling for peace. Bomb the shit out of them. Try to give them an offer. A lot of the experts were saying something's going down this weekend. The experts were saying some type of bombing was going to happen this weekend. And I saw earlier today they were talking about some B-2 stealth bombers were en route flying to Guam, wherever that is. And yeah, big deal. Big deal. Is this good? Is it good? Or is it whack? Technology. You know, I don't know, man. Is this going to piss off other people or are we good? Are we in and out like thieves in the night?
and that's a really crucial point, I think, but potentially capable of taking out the nuclear site. So confirmation that they were involved. Again, this is surprising. I mean, plane watchers have been watching the movement of these B-2 bombers for the past couple of days. Their home base is in Missouri, in the United States. They are sometimes based in Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, but we know that over the past few days they have all been back in Missouri. But
are we going to war, or is that it?
Off and flew not east towards the Middle East, but west towards Guam. So in the hours ahead, we'll get a lot more detail about quite how the Americans and why the Americans decided to carry out this strike tonight. But for a lot of people, and I imagine the British included, this will be, I guess there will be mixed feelings, because I know that the British government and the British Foreign Secretary were holding out for negotiations and for diplomacy to work. Donald Trump has taken a different view. He clearly believes that now was the opportunity, now was the moment to strike on these nuclear sites. He's rolling the dice. He's taking a gamble, and the gamble is that Iran will not retaliate in a way that cannot be contained by the Americans. It's a big gamble.
And Mark, you know, we almost a few days ago got a hint towards diplomacy. You know, Donald Trump said he'd given the Iranians 2 weeks and he was going to make a decision in 2 weeks. And now suddenly he's back at the White House, back in that security briefing, and now announcing this quite significant move and the US's direct involvement. So does this rule out any diplomacy now going forward?
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's genuinely fascinating that he has decided at this point to make this move, because, as you say, it was only 2 days ago, or was it even yesterday? I'm losing track. But he said through his press secretary he was going to give diplomacy up to 2 weeks. Something clearly has changed. Maybe it was a window of opportunity that his generals saw. We just don't know. What we do know is that he left the White House yesterday evening and went to Bedminster. Now, he wouldn't have been able to authorize that strike from Bedminster. He has to be in what's known as a SCIF, a secure location. There isn't one of those at Bedminster. There is back at the White House, but he was due to come back to the White House at 6 p.m. this evening, which is a couple of hours ago. So it's clear now that he came back to the White House and almost certainly watched all this unfold in real time from the Situation Room in the West Wing.
And Mark, the Iranian foreign minister, just again.
I don't know. How you guys feeling about this? Iran is not going to be happy, Iran. Now, Laura Loomer, she's snapping, popping, because she's been going off the last couple of days. And she said, let me see here. Let me go to her post real quick, because she said... What she said here. Okay, she said, Q, all the mass post deletions from fake MAGA grifters and the Democrat coalitions who jumped onto the Trump campaign like leeches. You're about to see the biggest 180 from the grifters who called Trump a warmonger and said he should be impeached. I want these people out of our party. I cannot stand them. So she quote tweeted. Now, I don't know. Those people that kind of had a disagreement with Trump's decisions could say this is exactly what they wanted to avoid. But, I mean, we're going to have to see what the ramifications are, because they went in there like a ninja, dropped the bombs and got out. Boom, 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 got out. You know, Laura also said Donald Trump is going down in history as the most influential president in U.S. history. Now, did you know that, is it Pakistan nominated Trump for peace? Nobel Peace Prize? Let me see that. Pakistan, Trump. Imagine that. Ooh. Pakistan plans to nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, that's because of India and Pakistan, I guess. Wow.
Plan is for the day after. What Donald Trump is hoping for is a quick fix, and that's what this tweet, this social media post, it speaks to that. He wants to just go in, bomb, job done,
Boom.
out.
Get out.
And he will hope that the Iranians don't respond, and he will hope that these bombings have taken out Iran's nuclear sites. It's a big hope. He's rolled the dice for sure tonight.
They must have had to drop a lot of
Mark, for
bombs on
now,
there.
thank you. We can now head over to Jerusalem and my colleague, Yalda Hakim.
Sam, thank you so much, and welcome
Let me just
to
skip
his
forward to the
National
live.
Security Council.
So this is huge news. You know, I'm really curious what are going to be the ramifications for this, if any. Trump posted himself, because I thought this was fake news at first, but then I saw Trump posted it himself. That boy said, "You got 2 weeks." Boom. Wow. Wow. So is that all their facilities now? Nuclear sites? That's it? Wow. Oh, man.
Earlier, this is a surprise. I don't think, from an American perspective, there was a sense that this would happen tonight. That the vibes coming out of last week, the past day or so, were very much that Donald Trump was willing to give diplomacy a chance, and this whole thing of up to 2 weeks, that he would least have given it more than a day or two. And I've been speaking to British sources over the past couple of days who are close to David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary. They have been, who of course was in Washington just a couple of days ago and has since met the Iranian Foreign Minister. Their view, the sense that they got, was that Donald Trump was determined to give peace, to give negotiations and diplomacy a try, but was also absolutely clear that if he needed to, he would take action. So I think the surprise is that he has decided to take action tonight and not give it just a few days. Incidentally, he has just on social media, there's just been another tweet or repost from Donald Trump on Truth Social of another account on X. He's retweeted the words "Fordow is gone" from an open source intel account on X. So I guess maybe the first unconfirmed suggestions that these strikes that the Americans have carried out have been successful. We will clearly need to wait, first of all, for first light, but also for some much more detailed analysis to see just how successful this strike on Fordow has been, because, you know, as we've discussed before, there has been some degree of doubt about just how possible it would be for these bunker busters to be able to take out this site underneath the mountain, buried very, very deep underneath the mountain. So we'll await for the analysis of how well it's gone. But Yalda, I mean, this is a dice roll for the president for sure, and I think
it's a gamble. It's a little bit of a gamble.
Assets right across the region, embassies, military personnel, other civilian targets that are seen to be aligned with America will now be, as far as the Iranians are concerned, fair game. And this is a very, very huge moment of jeopardy.
Who knows? Maybe the other countries are relieved. Like, oh, God, thank God somebody took care of this problem. They got these bombs away from these people.
And so,
well, a mass casualty
region is currently on alert, and of course those bases in places like Iraq and Syria, as well as CENTCOM right across the Gulf, in the UAE, in Bahrain, in Qatar. You know, Jordan has been on high alert for days. I mean, this entire region very much feels on edge, waiting to see whether a week on from when Israel first launched its airstrikes and attack on Iran, and we've seen a barrage of ballistic missiles launched here on Israel from Iran over the course of the last week. It has taken that more dangerous turn now. Although, Mark, as the US president was saying, you know, time for peace. So he's saying we hope that this is where it now ends. We'll have to wait and see how the Iranians respond to this.
Yeah, and
I mean, is Israel going to stop attacking? Let's say that all their nuclear capabilities are gone now. Are they going to continue to keep attacking these people? Will they just stop, let everybody kind of walk away, or is there going to be some, I don't know,
different options of what he can and can't do? And clearly, over the course of the past 48 hours, he has been given an option that had said, look, if we do this now, and we do it in this order, then there is a chance that we can strike, take out this nuclear site, and that is it. What Donald Trump wants is a quick fix, and as I said, that
quick fix,
that
in and out.
Social media post speaks to just that, a quick fix. We've done it, we've hit them hard, That's
In and
the
out.
line drawn, and now we want peace. That is
All this BS, all this back and all this stuff, all this chaos, all this fallout, X. Boom, 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 out. Wow.
Qasem Soleimani, who was the commander of the Quds force of the Revolutionary Guard. That was a moment where, again, it came as a surprise. Donald Trump went for the most extreme option of all of the spectrum that his generals gave him. It was incidentally in response to Iranian attacks against America. He went for the extreme option. He assassinated with a drone Qasem Soleimani. The whole world braced and thought the Middle East was going to blow up, and it didn't. His gamble then paid off. And I think that's what he's going for now. He's hoping.
Okay, guys, guess what? We're going to have to be here for a while. Apparently, Trump, he being opposed, I'll be giving an address to the nation at 10 p.m. at the White House regarding a very successful military operation. All right, at 10 o'clock, 2 hours from now, Trump. Oh, my God.
And as you say, it's a real roll of the dice. We understand that President Trump will be addressing the nation at 10 p.m. at the White House. That's 3 a.m. UK time. So we'll hear more from him since that Truth Social post that he put out. I'm just going to bring in our Middle East correspondent, Alistair Bunkle, who's standing by here with me. And Ali, you know, I was just telling Mark there that earlier in the day, he and I were corresponding. The mood music in Washington was very much that, look, we'll just, you know, President Trump's getting these daily briefings from his National Security Council. He's just assessing the situation. You and I were hearing a different kind of tone here in this country. There was a sense that something
Iran's
was building
proxies,
up. And
Hamas,
of course, yes,
Hezbollah, Houthis, etc., are a threat to the world. They say, the West is next. I'm not a fan of Trump, but I support this.
Oh, okay, Lobster. Okay. Oh, shit, Lobster. I mean, I wonder, I don't know, is there going to be an increase in terrorism? Is there going to be terrorist attacks? You know, they're going to get desperate. But if he was going to do it, I think this was the best way to do it, maybe. I don't know what the repercussions are going to be. But to go in and out, precision and get out, eliminate the nuclear threat, supposedly, you know? Interesting.
My sources, it'll just be late, middle of the night now, possibly early morning. So soon we will be seeing daylight, and we will be seeing possibly some reactions from the Iranians as well as the Israelis.
They're sleeping. Y'all better wake up.
President Trump saying that nuclear plant, especially Fordow, one of the three that the U.S. hit, is gone. Now, we have to know and see, as journalists and analysts, and get the information, but that's probably going to take a few minutes because this is breaking news right now.
Let's
text my mother.
Just for a moment, Cornique. President Trump does say that 3 nuclear sites in Iran were attacked. What do we know about the conditions of those sites right now?
Well, Natanz had been hurt before by Israel hitting it hard and taking out the power plant and the backup generators. So just by just getting rid of the power.
Trump is a G, man. I remember one time, I forgot when it was, years and years ago, he had bombed someplace. And everybody was like, World War III, you know, the thing that everybody says every time, World War III. It was like I forgot what it was, very precise. Shut them up. Those people didn't do anything. I think they shot like at a base, but like nobody really got hurt. And now this is on a massive scale.
Wondering what kind of degradation or what kind of operations would happen at Fordow.
Israel and Iran want new leadership. This has nothing to do with nukes.
I'm going to replace him, the supreme leader.
It seemed that President Trump might have pulled a bait and switch by saying, I'll decide in 2 weeks, because clearly he decided within 48 hours.
Has there been any response from Iran just
That's crazy.
Have they even had an opportunity to respond to what's happened?
Just stand by. Let me just check when. It's 3:45 in the morning. I'm just checking my sources.
We all kind of knew this would happen. We just didn't want it to. My husband and his 2 brothers are all in the army, so you bet I'm nervous.
Thank you guys for your service. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Streaming.
So it's not
Thank you, Christina.
a U.S. bombing of the nuclear plants, but this might be Israeli airstrikes that are also launching in Tehran, because my source says right now they are hitting hard.
So you're saying that the bombardment is continuing as we speak right now?
But not necessarily U.S. at all.
They're saying that Truth Social, thank you, Sarah, saying Truth Social is now down shortly after President Donald Trump announced that it successfully struck Iran. So there's still a split and a divide on X, because I see people saying, well, I told you so. This is going to lead to a war. We really don't know what's going to happen. And then there's other people say, you see, I trusted Trump. Marjorie Taylor, hold on, because she was against this. Let me see what she said. She just made a post. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, I pulled up the fake account. I don't know where's the real account. Damn, there's like 100 accounts. I can't even find her actual account. Okay, give me a second.
That the bluff is unclear. Usually he says that part out loud, and we're going to have to listen closely to what else he says.
Do we know anything about the reaction of lawmakers right now who pretty much did not want the U.S. to get involved in these kinds of conflicts any longer?
Yes, we're going to have to be gathering that. But again, it's 8:30 on a Saturday night, and this was a surprise attack. So we're going to have to effort more information. It's really President Trump. He's going to be addressing the nation at 10 p.m. about these airstrikes. That's a little over an hour and a half from now, and we'll be learning more then, too.
And as of right now, we don't know about the casualties experienced in that area where 3 strikes were made?
We do not hear about the casualties or the damage or anything that could have happened. It did happen in the middle of the night. It's about 3:45 a.m.
Oh, stealth bombers,
right
man.
Now. So this would have happened in the middle of the night on a Saturday. It's unlikely, especially with the Israelis' attacks, it's unlikely that this was fully staffed.
Okay. KEB, thank you for tagging me. Somebody sent like this animated video, I think. Let's take a look at this. Oh, there's no audio. This looks like the facility, Fordow, I guess. Underground. Trump's talking tonight. Trump's going to speak. It's probably going to be epic. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I don't know. I feel like we should do a poll. I'm not sure what kind of poll. But very, very interesting.
I trust U.S. intel and moving before is goes bad. United States heart, white heart, blue heart, United States Trump dance.
Thank you, Rainbow. Thank you for the 50. A lot of people turn their back on Trump. I don't know. Well, maybe it doesn't have to be turn their back, but maybe people just disagree. But maybe two can be the truth, right? This accurate. Let's take a look at Sky News. I'm gonna pull up some more information.
Greater, then I think there'll be a great deal of satisfaction within the Israeli government and the Israeli people that the job is done.
I wonder, will the Israel stop right now? So now they don't have to keep attacking,
right? We
just
don't know the answer yet. We probably will do in the coming hours. But if the Americans have been successful and it is all over now, it's a massive if, by the way, but if it is all over, I think there'll be a real feeling within the Israeli government that job done.
Yeah, and Mark, I guess the sense is, as Ali was saying, we don't know the level of success here, although American B2s being dropped on these 3 sites. It's fair to say a great deal of damage would have been done. But the other point here is that before anyone can say mission accomplished, the Iranians are going to have an answer to this, and whether or not they responded after Qasem Soleimani or not, for the Iranian regime at this point in time, given how they've responded in the last week or so, and they have promised a response on U.S. military bases in the region, there is likely to be some kind of response.
I mean,
don't know if we
Let's do a poll in the chat. Let's do a poll in the chat. Let me see what you guys are thinking. Thank you so much, Rainbow. Breaking news, big news. Trump went in and ordered to have the bombs dropped. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of different feelings. People freaking out, screaming, people excited, people cheering on. I'm sure it's a whole mix bag. You know, do you support Trump's bombing? I think, listen, I don't know. I think this was probably the best way if it was going to be done. You know, I mean, not this mass casualty, endless, like people dying, suffering, kids, and all this stuff, all this horrible stuff that we've seen happening. To go in and take out the nuclear facilities and be out? You know, I don't know. Bots voted.
I think there is a scenario whereby, not necessarily coordination, but they maybe even take a little bit of time and they make sure that the strikes that they do carry out against US interests in the region, because I think they'll have to, but they're done in such a way that it is very much signaling an off-ramp rather than an escalation. Now, there is, of course, another scenario, a real scenario, that they say we're going to widen this conflict. I'm not sure what more they can do to Israel. I think they're doing about as much to Israel as they really can at the moment. But, you know, shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, for example, you suddenly start to really disrupt the global economy. Let
me play this clip here. I was just posted. Nuke sites with B-2 bombers.
Also, Esfahan, as well as Natanz. Natanz had another underground facility. Remember, before Fordow was built in 2006, Natanz had been the main enrichment site. It was also built underground. Israeli jets had been targeting it in the last week, but they had not been able to penetrate underground. So those U.S. B-2 bombers, which flew out of Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, they would have taken out that underground facility. Natanz is interesting. You'll remember, Brett, it was the site of the Stuxnet virus, the cyber attack on those centrifuges years ago. But again, it was back up and running. And what is surprising, I think, tonight is that the president announced that it was not one site, but 3 underground sites and sites inside Iran's nuclear program that were struck by the U.S. Air Force tonight.
Yeah, and it is something. We'll go back to that Truth Social and eventually Control Room, if we can put it up there just so that everybody can see it on the screen. The fact that this, first of all, this announcement comes from Truth Social. This is a president who has put out a lot of announcements, big announcements through Truth Social, and this is the biggest of them, probably his biggest decision. The completed, the very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites, as you said, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan, getting very specific there. And the payload, he says a full payload of bombs dropped on the primary site, Fordow. That suggests, Jennifer, as we had been saying for many days, that they may have made several passes at Fordow, considering that the experts were saying that just one probably wouldn't have gotten to the heart of
BDA, which is battle damage assessment, will take a little bit of time to be carried out before they know the extent of the damage at Fordow. You know, everybody's spoken about the American weaponry, the MOP bomb, as though it's a sort of a foregone conclusion that it can do this damage, it can do this job. It's not. You know, it's not been used in this way ever before, and so. It'll be a very interesting moment for the US military to see whether or not it has lived up to its hype, so to speak. So we'll know that in due course. But I think it'll be very interesting to see and hear what Donald Trump has to say when he addresses the nation. Will it be a victory speech? Will it be almost gloating? Or will there be an air of humility to it, which would sort of recognize the risk that this
We got to recognize the risk.
now
Everybody knows the
brings,
risk.
therefore,
We got to recognize it for it.
Will we see Donald Trump as sort of quite a sort of grown-up statesman who has come in to potentially and hopefully, from his point of view and from an Israeli point of view, finish the job, or will it be sort of Donald Trump crowing about the job that he has ordered the U.S. military to do? I think it'd be really interesting to see what his tone is like when he addresses the nation.
Yeah, let's bring in Mark, who is with us. And Mark, we're just talking about the address to the nation that Donald Trump is going to make in a few hours' time. And I guess the question is his tone. But we've heard different sort of tones from Donald Trump throughout the week, frustration, urging Iran at different points to come to the negotiating table. He was sort of reluctantly brought into this after those strikes last Friday, where he sort of said, look, you know, we'll just have to wait and see how this pans out. And then he moved towards the tone of Israel is winning this, so it's difficult for me to tell them to stop. So we've heard different statements at different points throughout the week from Donald Trump.
And I think those different statements reflect the different advice that he's getting from all corners. I mean, remember that there are those within the Pentagon, I'm sure, who were very keen for him to just go for it. They have been planning, I mean, not quite as long as the Israelis have been planning for a moment like this, but they've had a game plan,
excited,
a war plan ready
exhilarated
for this sort of thing. Particularly this strike that has happened tonight for a very long time. So they were ready. But then against that, he has had people in the other ear telling him, don't do this. This is not our war. This is Israel's war. Do not get involved. Israel is doing quite well. In fact, Israel is doing very well. That's an important point, that Donald Trump has been surprised at Israel's ability to be able to defend itself with the Iron Dome and all the rest of it, its missile defense system. So the advice he's been getting from his MAGA coalition, from the America First coalition, is don't do this, do not get involved. And then against that, obviously, he's had Prime Minister Netanyahu and Republicans and, in fact, some Democrats on the Hill saying, look, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So all of that has been going on in his head for the past week, and we've seen that play out in real time as he has been ambiguous, which I guess has been helpful because it's kept the Iranians
Iran
guessing.
chose the wrong
but it's
U.S.
also,
president to pull this crap.
Yeah. The Supreme Leader. The Supreme Leader, did he see this coming? Kilimani. How are Trump people feeling about this? Laura Lewin made a post and said, never bet against Donald Trump. Ooh. Uh-oh. Let's see. What are the other accounts saying on X? Oh, photos from the nuclear site. So they're claiming this is photos from the nuclear site. Take a look at this. Wow. So there's a video too. But it says, we highly doubt the authenticity of this media. First frame the nuclear facility. A lot of the stuff is fake. Oh, man, I don't know. There's people that turned on Trump. Turncoats. I always say blow the wind people. Wherever the wind blows, they go. Blow the wind. Any kind of shaky turbulence there. God. What else we got? What else we got? Footage from Iran. But we don't know. We don't know the ramifications from this, man. It could be drastic. How's Putin going to feel about this? How's Kim Jong-un? How's he going to feel? How's China going to feel? How's Alaba? How's he going to feel? There might be a sense of relief, though. Those countries surrounding, they might be like, oh, thank God he did it. Oh, yes. Finally, it's over. Could be. What's Kilimani doing? And this says supposedly Kilimani's hiding in a bunker. The supreme leader of Iran. So he's hiding out. They said at least 6 U.S. B-2 stealth bombers are now over the Pacific. That was 10 hours ago. Damn. People are asking, is World War III going to break out? They've been asking that for years, man. One day we're gonna be old and shit. They're gonna be, oh, it's World War III. We're gonna be rolling our eyes. But you never know. It could happen one day. Good. I don't want that, but you never know.
You ask how we feel about this. How do you feel about this, Mel? Just curious.
Oh, thank you for the 5. Like I said earlier, I don't know. I think Trump's a G. He's a gangster. I think if we were going to do it, this was the best way to do it, I guess. Because instead of sending people on the ground, mass war, people dying, go in, bomb the nuclear site, the supposed nuclear sites, bomb the nuclear sites, and get out. Have a nice day. Now it's your problem, Israel or whoever. I don't know what they're doing, because Israel doesn't. I don't think they need to keep attacking, unless their focus is to change out leadership. Because I've heard that come up too a couple of times. They're just going to replace the supreme leader by force.
The two foes, the two arch enemies, which are Israel and Iran, but then also the U.S. and Iran, and that comes from history pre-1979. The mullahs taking over and saying that the U.S. is the great Satan, and then the U.S. getting involved and Iran striking back with terrorist attacks. So there is history here. But there also had been a nuclear deal that President Trump took us out of, tried to get one back, clearly wanted the peace and the deal, and that's not how this has gone since Israel.
I love and stand in support of our president. Screw those that turn.
Before what was supposed to be the
Grandpa, thank you. Appreciate the 50. Hey, how you doing?
Iran. Instead, Israel and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his government acted unilaterally and launched airstrikes all over Iran and different places, including some of their nuclear power plants they could degrade from above ground, and also against oil refineries, gas depots, straight into Iran, into Tehran, which is densely populated. This was not something that President Trump had signed on to, and now he's reacting. He's gone a step further with this U.S. involvement, for the first time being offensive, not defensive, in this since Israel bombed.
Okay, let's listen a little bit to. Let's change up the stations a little bit. Let's change it up. Big announcement tonight. Big announcement.
Those 2 aircraft carriers. There was supposed to be a 3rd aircraft carrier that was going to go into the Eastern Mediterranean. So we may have that as well. Then we have all the stuff that's at our bases. You know, we've got a lot of F-16s, a lot of other aircraft in the area. We got a lot of aerial refueling capability, not just in the Middle East, but also stretched out to reinforce whatever has to be done with various other locations that might be used in concert with this. So a lot of aerial refueling capability, and that's something where the U.S. is kind of exceptional in the world, is our ability to do in-flight refueling. We have a capability that just no other country comes close to in terms of our ability to support those operations. So we have all of that out there. We have all the air defense missiles, for drones and for ballistic missiles. And we're probably coordinating with all of our Middle East allies, particularly those between Iran and Israel, to keep all their air defense capabilities ready to go, and particularly in those countries where we have U.S. bases, should Iran decide to go that direction. I would mention that Iran has gone that direction before. Don't forget that they did attack Al-Assad Air Base with ballistic missiles some years ago. So that's a real...
There was this page, the Western Journal said this was an hour ago, breaking Israel says it killed.
Thanks for 5 years daily news. I support Trump.
You.
Stay responsible, people. Much love, Mel. Carolyn.
Thank you so much for the 10. I think, did we email? I did get an email from you, right? We talked a little bit. Thanks for the 5 years daily news. I appreciate it. Thanks. No, there was this tweet that said breaking Israel says it has killed one of the top Iranian commanders. And then somebody under the reply, their top commander gets killed literally every other week, which is true. There was some type of top leader getting killed every other day.
No proof of nuclear weapons. Trump is putting his legacy first, not American interest.
They found, despite what many accounts on X are saying right now, claiming this video is old and not from tonight's U.S. strike. So that video was fake. Fake news. But that's not the nuke. That's not nuke video.
Netanyahu eventually.
I'm going to be listening for whatever he says.
Trump is definitely EG. So G even smokes fallen leaf out of blunt.
U.S. involvement is. I'm going to be curious to hear if somewhere in his discussion he's presuming that the U.S. is going to take a greater role in striking Iran.
That should be it. That's it. All right, we got the nuclear sites. Get out. That's it. Whatever else is, you got to deal with that. Look at this video here. Video explanation of how nuclear disaster can happen if U.S. decides to bomb Fordow, which we already did.
Iran supports and harbors terrorists. They don't need a nuke. This had to happen and will prevent WW3.
McGinnis, thank you so much for the 10. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Rockman, Trump is definitely a G. So G... Hold on, I got to cut out for me. Trump is gangster, man. A lot of people would have held back, not did anything. So G, he even smokes out of blood.
What happens if the US targets Iran's Fordow enrichment facility? This wouldn't just be a military strike, but a very real risk of an unprecedented nuclear disaster in the Middle East. The Fordow facility lies south of the capital, Tehran, near the holy city of Qom. It's built under a mountain, more than 80 meters deep underground. It's here that Iran enriches uranium to high levels, up to 90%, which is close to the threshold required to produce a nuclear weapon. If this facility were bombed and the stored nuclear materials detonated, the consequences would be catastrophic. Within a 1 kilometer radius, radiation levels would be lethal within hours. Within 5 kilometers, people would experience severe radiation sickness, bleeding, vomiting, organ failure. Up to 20 kilometers away, increased risk of cancer, birth defects, and long-term contamination of water and soil. Tens of thousands could be forced to evacuate for years. And the worst part? Winds could carry radioactive dust to Qom, Tehran, and even neighboring countries. If such an attack occurred, Iran would likely consider it a declaration of war and could retaliate by launching hundreds or even thousands of missiles at Israel and American bases.
Oh, they haven't seemed too successful. They've gotten a couple of hits, but I don't think Iran has the smoke or the juice. I think they're a lot of talk. They're saying the political deputy of Iran state broadcaster IRIB said on live television that Iran had evacuated the 3 nuclear sites targeted by the U.S. some time ago. So I guess they're saying that the operators of the nuclear facility have left, but
good time to not live in a big city or near military installments.
Coordinate this with the Israelis to make sure that this mission could be done, and certainly with the Israelis basically asking us over and over again to do this, it just doesn't seem conceivable that we would not have coordinated this with the Israelis the whole way. And I'm sure that we've coordinated much more than just this particular mission or missions, that there's more that's being discussed, and there are contingency plans, branch plans, sequels, all sorts of things in terms of whatever it is going forward.
The reason I ask you, Hal, is because this was sent out earlier today from the Israeli Air Force. Earlier today, the Israeli Air Force says they struck F-14 fighter jets belonging to the Iranian armed forces. This happened in central Iran. I was going to ask you, before all of this started, how important these F-14s are to Iran, Hal. But now I'm sitting here wondering if the Israelis were taking out some fighter jets in anticipation of what the U.S. was going to do, and because they wanted to take out the F-14s in expectation of some sort of retaliatory effort.
Carolina,
something?
Well, maybe they saw the last Top Gun movie. I don't know, but those are like about the last place you'll find F-14s. The Shah of Iran bought those things in the 70s from the U.S., and they basically don't have. That's one
Michael,
of the things
thank you so.
Iranian Air Force. They don't have much. They don't have very many assets.
Oh, Sarge.
And,
I don't think your
Iran
name, your first name is
decades has
Michael, but
been
thank you
doing
for the
all sorts of
45 on
surreptitious
Cash App.
things to try and keep those things flying, because obviously we're not providing.
So they were saying here too, let me see, I'm getting tagged on stuff. Fox Pentagon reporter, my 18 years at the Pentagon, I've never seen such an operational security. There were no leaks, nobody speaking about this, a complete blackout.
More, according to the president. The other thing I can point out, Brett, is that this is an operation in the last 18 years since I've been at the Pentagon. I've never seen such operational security. There was nobody speaking about this, any of the preparations. There was a complete lockdown, almost a blackout of information for the last few days. I'm sitting here in the Pentagon right now. I can tell you the hallways are empty, and all of the information is coming right now out of the White House. That is a significant achievement because there were no leaks about the timing. Now, sometimes I think those who, a lot of the flight trackers, the open source intelligence flight trackers, that flight radar did indicate some of when the B-2s took off from Whiteman. But again, nobody really expected that it would take place this evening. If you looked at the moon schedule, you might have had a clue because it was a waning crescent and almost a new moon on the 25th. So it would have been very, very dark over Iran tonight, and you need that in order to bomb. That's the ideal condition.
How you hit a nuke site and not hit the nuke they apparently had.
Stealth,
Iran preparing rebuild. No proof.
Iran were to put up any.
You think it's all BS? It's smoke and mirrors, a hoax?
Opportunities to fire on those B-2s, which are such valuable and very, very special planes. Only the U.S. military has this kind of weaponry and this capability. No other country in the world could have carried off what occurred tonight at those 3 uranium enrichment sites in Iran.
I love it.
Funny how none of those jets moved at all when blown up.
Man, big, gigantic news.
On for some time in the run-up to all of this and sharing that intelligence with the U.S. Because what does it take to actually drop a bomb on this Fordow target? We know it's deep underground. So U.S. intelligence, U.S. military intelligence had to know the exact formation.
What happened to No King's Day? No King's Day. We don't have a king. No King's Day. Oh, I hope they're watching as they march. Let me listen a little bit. We got to get clipped on Fox. Israel forces show the aftermath. Oh, okay. Check this out. The aftermath of the airstrikes. Let me pull this up. Full screen. Supposedly, this is the aftermath here. Chat's moving kind of fast, I know. Well, it looks like fast. It was an unexpected stream. I had to like run and jump on. I was like, oh snap. I thought it was a joke at first. I really did. I had to double, triple check, quadruple check. So this is the aftermath. I wonder who's gonna go investigate to see that the nuclear material is actually destroyed. I guess the top looks pretty destroyed. All right. I really want to see what people have to say on X.
By sending them to Guam. In fact, the difference between Whiteman Air Force Base, where they're stationed all the time, and launching them from Guam, doesn't give us a whole lot of capability. You get a little bit more in terms of range advantage if you launch them from Diego Garcia. Then again, you don't have all the facilities as far as
They're saying Trump now posted an American flag just as he did after the drone strike in Iran's Soleimani throwback. Cenk Uygur made a post. You know who's not anti-war? Someone who starts a war. F Trump. Cenk Uygur. He's from what's the name of that show again? The Young Turks. Big channel, big show, whatever, on YouTube. I see him sometimes on Piers Morgan. I follow his page just to keep up with the crazy, you know. Cenk Uygur. The Jews in Israel have the power now. Cry harder. And now Israel first celebrates and rubs it in to the left and America first. Neither one of us have the power to stop it. I'm MAGA. Done with him. F Trump. He's the liar they all said he was. So some people feel like that. Some people feel like that. Some people, this is the divide that I'm talking about that I've seen online, are saying they're done with Trump. F him. That's how they feel about it. Now, people, you know, they try to say like he ran on no wars. But he's done missile strikes before. This is not the first time he's done like a strike on a place, you know, whatever. This could be another one of those. I mean, we'll have to see. This is on another level, though, you know, another scale. We'll have to see the reaction. But he's done these kind of like strikes before. Maybe he has some type of intel that we don't know about. You know, I don't know. I'm incredibly disappointed as a Trump voter. This is not what I voted for. The exact opposite. The irony about joining Israel's war is that anti-Semitism is about to reach levels the world hasn't seen in a century. If this gets worse, it will. He started a war.
Those bombs would be needed to potentially destroy Fordow. There was talk even of mock
no F.
Fordow,
That guy and any others that say F Trump.
Years ago,
Give me 1 second.
With sort of presentations in the Oval Office showing what a destruction of that nuclear site could look like were the Americans to drop the bomb. And Trump has done it, it appears.
Some people are gone.
More detail on that until it comes from the president.
Some people jumped off the ship.
President's statements. But, you know, 2 days after he gave Iran this 2-week window for diplomacy.
That's how you do it.
Gone in. It changes the dynamic of this war entirely. It makes it completely unpredictable.
Yeah, he was like, I might do something. Maybe I'll do something. Maybe I won't. You know, we'll let you know in 2 weeks at the most. Literally 2 days later, boom.
United States of Israel.
Let me see what they're saying here on
From your
Fox.
experience in this business, is it likely that this decision was already made way before that?
Well, there are reports that he had already made the decision on the strike itself. That was being reported widely for days. And as you know, as we had discussed on the air, and one of the things was that it was within 2 weeks. It wasn't 2 weeks. There was a lot of, and I think that was the intent, was for the Iranians to believe, oh, we got a 2-week reprieve here. And I don't think we wanted to disabuse them of that. But the exact language was within 2 weeks. Now, within 2 weeks could be 2 hours, 2 days, a week, whatever. And as we've seen now, that within 2 weeks was well within 2 weeks. And
Supposedly there's this post now on X. I have to verify this. All American bases in every country will be burned. They're not happy. They're not happy about that. U.S. President Donald Trump tells Barack Ravid in a phone call, we had great success tonight. Your Israel is much safer now. Israel's Home Front Command has issued a highest level emergency instructions. With approval of the defense minister and the following situation assessment, it was decided that starting today, Sunday, at 3:45 a.m., it's Sunday over there, I guess, there will be an immediate change in the Home Front Command's defense policies. As part of the changes, it was decided to move all regions of the country from a partial and limited activity classification to a necessary activity classification. The guidelines include a ban on educational activities, gatherings, and workplaces except for essential businesses. The guidelines published by the Home Front Command, though official distribution channels, should continue to be followed. Okay. Laura Loomer and Owen Schroyer from Alex Jones. Alex Jones took up took the side of Tucker, or just, you could just say not bombing Iran, not getting involved at all. So Oren Schroyer as well had the same type of sentiment and feeling. And I guess he's beefing back and forth a little bit with Laura Loomer. That's a fake picture. Thank you for the picture, but that's a fake picture floating around, apparently, the nuclear site. I'm waiting to see a real one, guys. I haven't seen no real ones yet. What else we got? The internet's flying, busting. The U.S. military is now briefing troops that its strike on Iran will likely result in a counterstrike on U.S. bases and facilities. So they're going to be on high alert. High alert. Cinema said Trump is going to address the nation about the strikes on Iran at 10 p.m. However, it's unclear when the president of the United States, Benjamin Netanyahu, will address the nation. Oh, man. People got a lot of mixed feelings, man. Mixed feelings about the whole thing. Like I said the other, I think I said the other day, I'm riding with Trump. That's how I feel about it. I'm riding with Trump, and I just hope for the best. You know, I don't want any war though, so you know, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't know, you know, the ramifications potentially. Israel Pulse. There's another post here. I'll show you guys. I don't even know if this is real. I don't know what's real anymore. Nothing's real anymore. This one says the video of the explosion at Fordow appears likely legitimate. This one may be legitimate. Nothing's real anymore. Everything's AI. Everything's automated, animated, you know, bots. You're not even talking to a real person anymore. Supposedly, this is a bomb of the site. Oh, wow. And somebody said, Grok, is this legit? The video of an explosion at Fordow appears to be likely legitimate based on reports from critical sources confirming strikes on Iran nuclear sites. So I don't really know. That's just basing it. Even the AIs aren't. They're smart and they have a credible capability, but they're also still don't have like intuition, or not intuition, but like, I don't know. There's like a lack of context sometimes and common sense or whatever. So
the Iron Dome that is.
There's that guy too that he got a ChatGPT to marry him. I guess he made like a modification or something. He left his girlfriend and got married to ChatGPT. I mean, maybe I don't blame him. Maybe he don't want to deal with the headache, you know? Some guys just don't want to deal with the bullshit. I got time for it, you know?
And so those are very capable systems, but they're not as prolific as the Iron Dome system. So it's so when there's a certain number of missiles that do come in, ballistic missiles, which those systems would intercept, at some point you just work on the math, which is you only have so many air defense missiles, and some of them get through. And many, you know, with the system, it identifies where it is. It tries to figure out where it's going, and then they make a targeting decision, which is, do we launch a missile to intercept that incoming ballistic missile?
Speaker Mike Johnson had something to say. So Speaker Mike Johnson says, thank you for the tag. The military operations in Iran should serve as a clear reminder to our adversaries and allies that President Trump means what he says. The president gave Iran's leader every opportunity to make a deal, but Iran refused to commit a nuclear disarmament agreement. President Trump has been consistent and clear that a nuclear-armed Iran will not be tolerated, which he has said that over the years and years and years and years and years and years and years. He has had that sentiment. This is not something new. That posture has been enforced with strength, precision, and clarity. The president's decisive action prevents the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, which that's another thing too, which chants death to America, from obtaining the most lethal weapon on the planet. This is America First policy in action. So he's spoken up. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, Lord. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. A lot of fake videos going around. So now they're saying this video is fake too. Nothing's real anymore, man. We're all in a simulation. So this is from, they're saying it's from Syria 6 months ago. Okay. All right. Nothing's real. Lord Almighty. So yeah, they're briefing troops about this potential counterattack. Yeah, what kind of counterattack does Iran have? Or the Houthis and other people, are they going to join in or what? Or are they backing down? Everything's in the air now. Aerial power, technology. Are they going to hack us? They don't need to hack us because, listen, there's so many leaks. I don't even think these leaks are by accident or whatever. What did I say the other day? Like millions and millions of passwords. I think they do that shit on purpose. They already have all our information. There's nothing. I mean, what are they going to hack? I guess maybe the banks. They could hack the banks, or maybe the electric system power. I don't know. What are they going to hack? There's nothing. You want my password? They already have my password and everything else. That's why I have to double authenticate and everything. And even that, there's a way to get past it. They have all our stuff already. They're selling our information every day. There's websites that are selling our information every day. Your address, your family's out, all kinds of stuff.
People are getting mad about something Trump doing in now that Reagan should have done 40 years ago.
Time for peace. Now Trump says time for peace. So I hope this just kind of shuts the situation and we can go our merry way, but I don't know if that's really what's going to happen. But at the same time, I wonder if some of those, well, I don't know, some of those countries in that area might kind of be breathing a little bit of relief. Maybe they won't say it publicly, but just kind of, thank God, this guy, these nuclear sites are taken out. Or Allah, I should say, thank Allah for these people.
Nobody wants to do that. So that is something that works to Iran's favor, which is the U.S. doesn't want to go in there on the ground. Israel either doesn't or can't go in there on the ground, and nobody else is poised to go in there on the ground. So for Iran, they're not going to get overwhelmed by ground forces literally coming in like you saw with the U.S. and Iraq where it went into Baghdad. They're not looking at that type of scenario.
Will you have Trump live when he comes on TV?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to hang out till 10. We're waiting till 10 p.m. Eastern. A little less than an hour. Trump's going to talk. So I want to hang out just to see what he was going to say. I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Got to be interesting. Oh, yeah. I wonder if the Supreme Leader is going to put out a message. They kept talking about those planes earlier today, but I've been hearing that for the last couple of days, so I didn't pay too much attention to it. Kept, the bees bombers and the doomsday plane and all this stuff. But they were right. They were right about the weekend.
Was the big strategic threat that they posed. Interestingly,
Macy,
if you look at North Korea by.
Thank you for the 5 on Rumble. Thank you for the support on Rumble. Appreciate that. What's up, Zippadoodle? Dr. McCann. Thanks for the coverage. Thank you for the support. Yeah, they're saying Truth Social was done. I don't know if it came back up. He made the announcement on Truth Social.
Weapon, and then they tested a nuclear weapon, and now they probably got 30 to 50 nuclear warheads out there, and certainly a lot of ballistic missile capability to deliver those warheads. That whole thing, everyone was looking at with Iran saying they're going to do the exact same thing. They're just playing games, and they're going to do the same thing. And part of the reason that North Korea did that was because if you actually
nobody is going to do anything about it but act dramatic online. Even Iran's neighbors think that they suck and are probably celebrating right now.
That's what I was thinking. They might be
strength, sadly.
They might be quietly celebrating. Yeah, they might. Thank God, somebody had to do it. Thank God, I don't have to deal with this, you know.
And so their only avenue of approach was to develop a nuclear capability, this unconventional military threat.
That house is very white.
The same thing Iran was trying to do, and now they can't do it. So, strategically, they just don't have the same gravitas that they had before.
They're done. They're pretty much done. I don't know what else they're going to pull out of there.
From lawmakers,
all right.
If we can. Let's head over to that. Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, reacting to the strike, saying, good, this was the right call. The regime deserves it. Well done, President Trump. Lindsey Graham says, to my fellow citizens, we have the best Air Force in the world. It makes me so proud. Fly, fight, win, Graham says. I believe we have a number of lawmaker reactions, so we're just going to go through these. Senator Fetterman, the Democrat out of Pennsylvania, says, as I've long maintained, this was the correct move by POTUS. Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism and cannot have nuclear capabilities. I'm grateful for and salute the finest military in the world, Fetterman says. Moderate Democrat in the Senate. The majority leader, John Thune, Republican, says the regime in Iran, which has committed itself to bringing death to America and wiping Israel off the map, has rejected all diplomatic pathways to peace. The mullah's misguided pursuit of nuclear weapons must be stopped as we take action tonight to ensure that, and it looks like it gets cut off there, but I'm assuming that Leader Thune there.
Let me show you some clips, things that I'm finding right now that I think are kind of interesting. Let's see here. ESPN, apparently, is that true? ESPN announces U.S. strike in Iran.
President Donald Trump will address the nation tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern time regarding the attack on Iran earlier today. ABC News will have live coverage. He has said, quote, we have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. Again, much more. 10 o'clock Eastern time, ABC News for a live coverage of President
Thanks for your
Trump's
consistent coverage on important things.
Wow. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Tonight's going to be big. Oof. Tonight is going to be big. They posted this 3 hours ago. Iran's underground Fordow nuclear site isn't just secure, it's nearly untouchable. Analysts said it'd take 10 B-2 bombers striking in under 3 minutes to even dent it. Let's see.
Enrichment site, or potentially, is there some magical thinking going on here?
Well, it's magical thinking, Jack. I mean, you and I both, you did targeting packages. I had inputs to targeting packages. I've been a planner, military planner, where we have to look at the range of things regarding a campaign, everything from kinetic strikes to special operations force options. And this is the deal regarding Fordow. You would have to have a strike package of 10 B-2 Spirit bombers coming in, one after the other, within about 3 minutes, dropping the ordnance. So these are penetrators. But, Jack, to get to the level we're talking, you're going to have 10, count them, 10 of those penetrators get deep enough to have an effect. That's how deep this thing is. So, and then, oh, by the way, what happens if we have to go in and verify we did the job we said we did? Oh, by the way, what happens to the radiation that comes spewing out once you penetrate the facility? So General Tony Zinni,
we're gonna find out.
The commander of Central Command, one of my friends and mentors, told me that Bill Clinton, this is back in the 90s, Bill Clinton would ask him, hey, General Zinni, can you do X? Can you defeat X? And Zinni would say, yeah, I can do that. But then what? So I think, Jack, as much as we can talk about ordnance, we can talk about effects, nobody can actually define what our end state is or what would happen if we do this. The then what seems to be the piece that everybody is missing, and I think President Trump has got it. That's why he's taken a deep breath and thinking about this before we act.
Well, that was earlier today. It's too late now. Bombs over Baghdad. U.S. President Donald Trump breaking tells Reuters, I would say Reuters, but I guess it's pronounced Reuters, they should stop immediately. Otherwise, they'll get hit again. Who? Stop what immediately? They should stop immediately, or otherwise they'll get hit again. Oh, with the counterattack? What is Trump saying? We'll come back. We'll pull back up on you guys. Iranian state television displays graphic of U.S. bases. Oh, hell nah, Mr. Trump. Look what you started. What? Hold up. Mr. Trump, you started it and we will end it. So Iranian, supposedly, Iran TV is getting hot. They're upset.
من هدف مشروع ایران هستند. آمریکا با این اقدامی که انجام داد علیه ایران و حریم هوایی ایران را شکست و
Guess I'll it's talking to me. I'll read it to you guys. So it says they are definitely a legitimate target of Iran. The US has committed a crime against Iran. By violating Iran's airspace, it has no place in the West Asian region. President of the United States, you started it, and we will finish it. Whoa. Uh-oh.
The most lethal weapon on the planet. This is America First policy in action. The speaker finishes by saying, God bless our brave men and women in uniform, the most lethal fighting force on the planet, as we pray for their safe return home. May God bless America. Johnson brings up a point, Hal, that there were opportunities to make a deal between the regime and between President Trump. I believe there were 60 days of negotiations that took place. And then on the 61st day, that's when the Israelis began striking in Iran. What do we know about what was discussed in that 60-day period? How much progress, if any, was made when there was a table to be discussing at?
Not much. No? That's exactly why you see what happened. They went back and forth. The Iranians and Steve Witkoff, he made a mistake early on that he seems to have recovered from. He went to the initial meeting and came out and said, well, we're talking about 3.67% enrichment capability that Iran would retain. And of course, that was the exact number that was in the JCPOA, the agreement under Obama that President Trump had basically shut down, that he pulled the U.S. out of. And of course, when right after Witkoff said this, there was all sorts of things on the Hill, really bipartisan rhetoric on the Hill, which was making it sound like, the Trump administration was pursuing Obama too. They were basically trying to put back in place the same agreement that they found completely unsatisfactory that we pulled out of years before.
This is a developing situation. Coverage will continue on Trump announcing that the U.S. conducted strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Trump is okay, I thought he said continue. Trump is expected to speak at 10. Trump has issued a warning to Iran saying they should stop immediately or otherwise they'll be hit again. I don't know if you want to try him. I don't know if you want to press him.
Iranians were in a place where they said, we can't give that up. And in their minds, if they gave up the enrichment capability, they kind of gave up the only card they had left to play, so to speak. They had to, it almost reminds me in many ways of the same sort of gamesmanship we used to hear with Saddam Hussein with WMD, where he was trying to make it sound like he would say, oh, no, I don't have this. And then he'd play all these games in the background, which very, for him, very effectively created the impression that he had weapons of mass destruction and that he was deliberately trying to hide those weapons of mass destruction. Of course, in the end, that became the justification to go in and remove his regime. And when we got in there, we found out there really wasn't anything, that he was doing. A lot of this was gamesmanship, and he was not only trying to deceive the West and his neighbors, but he was very much trying to deceive his own senior leaders to make them think that he was retaining a capability within his regime that he didn't have, and hence this kind of layered misreporting of weapons of mass destruction. Well, that was the purpose for that strategically.
Okay, BNO News is reporting that U.S. strike in Iran. Fordow, 6 bunker busters. 6 bunker busters. And then Natanz and Esfahan, 30 Tomahawk missiles. Oh, there's a war going on. Even the SD Pal T, she's beefing with people. The Kamala Harris impersonator. It's pretty funny. She's beefing with people. There's a whole all-out war. Everybody's turning on each other. Sides are being chosen. Why can't we just get along? Mr. President, you started it, we will finish it. The Iranian state media has threatened us. Some people in the chat have said they're afraid. They're worried, concerned. Some people said they can't sleep at night. Some people have started taking medication. Iran, Mr. President, you started it and we will finish it. Nick Fuentes says he's going to go live tonight. Oh, he's going live on Rumble now. Maybe we'll just peep in a little bit, see what he says. Mr.
How
President.
many Iranian terrorists came over the Mexican or Canadian border? I'm afraid of sleeper cells within our country.
Well, I don't know. This I wonder, this could encourage attacks. I'm actually surprised nothing happened, to be honest with you. I'm surprised nothing happened during King's Day. All these people were gathered. Nothing terroristic-wise, I mean, you know what I'm saying? There was incidents, somebody got shot and killed and stuff like that, but I'm talking about, like, some type of attack. You know, I'm surprised that didn't happen. But with this situation now, yeah, who knows? Sleeper cells, people among us. Oh yeah, I was gonna do this. Well, let me see what this guy had to say. What's this guy here? Aspen Gold.
If you can believe this, they are sending the B-2 bombers.
Breaking moments ago, new reports from open source plane spotters show 6 B-2 stealth bombers from White.
More they left the airport with half a tank. So they left.
Okay, there's like a whole smorgasbord over there. Nick Fuentes, what do you have to say? Just real quick, I'm curious.
Outside the city gates, outside of the gated community, on the other side of the tracks, downtown, wherever. Can't do it forever. Can't run forever.
How's he streaming with subtitles like that?
Is our civilization worth it? Is it worth it to have a civilization like
That's
this?
That's gangster. How does he have that?
There is something involved.
Oh, he was a pre-recorded video. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, okay. He hasn't started. I know there's people. People on Rumble, they have like a very long intro before they start. Like 30, 40-minute intros. Okay, so let's keep it moving. We'll check back in a little while. Ooh, somebody just said this too as well. Brianna, I'm just hoping all my reporting on sleeper cells is wrong. Do we have sleeper cells? Is it your neighbor? What else we got? A source familiar with the operation and senior Defense Department official confirmed that MOP was used in the strikes, with 2 MOPs used per target. The U.S. reached out to Iran diplomatically Saturday to say the strikes are all the U.S. plans in that regime change.
Only need Fox News alert. I just spoke to the president of the United States. I have some new information and breaking details to share about tonight's what is historic air campaign. Now, tonight, Iran's nuclear ambitions, they are officially dead. It appears the United States just completely obliterated Iran's top secret Fordow nuclear facility with 6 huge bunker buster bombs. It was originally speculated that you would only need 2. It turns out they used 5 to 6 dropped from America's stealth B-2 bombers. And that's not all. 2 other major Iranian nuclear sites, Natanz and Esfahan, were wiped out with 30 Tomahawk missiles launched by American submarines some 400 miles away. Everyone is out of harm's way for now. That does not mean that American assets in the region are not at risk, and we are monitoring the Iranian response or potential response all throughout the night.
Wow.
Syria get offloaded and then smuggled into southern Lebanon. But now, if Iran is gone, if that regime is gone, if that pipeline is gone altogether, what was a horrible situation for Hezbollah has become a completely untenable situation for Hezbollah. And what you're likely to see, which is something already in the works, is that Hezbollah will eventually be compelled to completely disarm altogether, completely disarm, cease to be a military or paramilitary organization, probably work some deal to be maybe a political party, and that's about it within the Lebanese political system. And that threat will go away. All right. Hamas may be compelled to finally say there is no future. We're done, and take the best offer they have on the table to basically save themselves and remove themselves from being part of the equation with Gaza and probably part of the equation with the West Bank as well. So you'll probably see that. Now, the other thing that you're already seeing underway is in Iraq, and there has been an active dialogue between the government and these Iranian-backed Shiite militias, some of which have targeted the U.S., targeted our interests over there, but targeted our bases over there. There has been a lot of discussion as they've been watching the things kind of unfold, particularly with the Assad regime falling. They've been kind of saying, we're not in a great position here, and maybe we should cease to be this paramilitary thing because we could end up in the same situation as Hezbollah or one of these other groups. So they've already had a dialogue on maybe they become a political thing. And then you get to the Houthis, and the Houthis is a different thing where I don't know what's going to happen. They're very entrenched, but they would be starved of weapons and support from Iran. I don't know. Right now we have some sort of agreement with them not to target U.S. ships, and they're really not targeting Western ships that to any degree. But it may be enough.
They said President Trump sent multiple decoy bombers west out of the U.S., juking Iranian forces while the B-2s actually dropping the bombs went east undetected. This threw everyone's timing off, including the media's. Iran did not expect the bombing tonight.
From the White House after those unprecedented strikes against Iran's nuclear enrichment sites, 3 in all in Esfahan, Fordow, and Natanz. And you mentioned the 6 bunker-busting bombs, Sean, that the president told you about. That means 3 B-2 bombers were involved in the strikes tonight because each B-2 bomber can only carry 2 of those 15-ton bunker-busting bombs. So that means 3 B-2 bombers were involved. And as we heard from Jennifer's reporting, it's likely deception was involved. Everyone woke up this morning to chatter about these 6 B-2 bombers flying west over the Pacific, refueling over Hawaii at about 11 p.m. But it's clear now that those were decoys and that another flight of B-2s flew east, likely 3 of them. When you said 6 bunker-busting bombs were dropped, that flight that went east went to the target and annihilated Fordow, as we're hearing, likely destroying Iran's nuclear enrichment program. As you mentioned, for 11 years, President Trump has made clear that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. That was his red line, and tonight he enforced it. You mentioned the 30 Tomahawks fired from sub.
Pull the juke. All part of the plan. Let's see what else we got tagged on here. Escovino. I have unfollowed so many people within the last hour, says Mary Tally Bowden. What happened? The Great Divide. Iranian state TV. Every American citizen or military in the region is now a target. Sleeper cells. Damn, the NYPD said NYPD News, we're tracking the situation unfolding in Iran. Out of an abundance of caution, we're deploying additional resources to religious, cultural, and diplomatic sites across NYC and coordinating with our federal partners. That means you're on your own, basically. Yeah.
Come up with a course of action that is what you just laid out.
Let's talk about some of the other angles to this. So the Tomahawks being used on 2 sites, the 30,000 pound bombs, 6 of them being dropped on Fordow, Hal. As we learn more about this, and again, I'll just reiterate here, Sean Hannity reports 6 bunker-busting bombs were dropped on Fordow from Air Force B-2 bombers, and then Esfahan and Natanz were targeted with those Tomahawk cruise missiles from submarines. Let's talk about where this goes from here. We discussed this a little bit earlier in the evening. One of the most common questions I get from viewers is the U.S. entering a war? And Israel and Iran have already been fighting. Now the U.S. is getting involved in that fight. Does that mean the U.S. is at war?
You know, there's no declaration of war. We haven't had declaration of war since World War II. I don't know if Congress would be too inclined to declare war on Iran. And by law, I think the War Powers Act, the clock has already started ticking based on what I've seen. But what I will say is this: we are now part of this conflict, part of this war, if you will. I think it's certainly fair to say that Iran and Israel are at war, and we have now entered in as a party to that conflict on the side of Israel, obviously. And so we are a party to it. The question is, what will Iran do? Will Iran now try to broaden the conflict to start targeting U.S. facilities, bases, assets, interests in the region and potentially out of the region? Will they try to do that? And if they do, then I'm sure there's a lot of contingency plans, as I mentioned, branches and sequels of the current plan as to how to best address dealing with that. But I have to think that within Tehran, within the Iranian people, once this information has been disseminated, once it's been absorbed, once the information is sort of metastasized, if you will, within the body politic of Iran, there's going to be some very deep questions about the regime. And part of it will be, can they actually perform as a government?
Okay. So Hakeem Jeffries, a Democratic leader, has posted on X and said Donald Trump promised to bring peace to the Middle East. He has failed to deliver on that promise. The risk of war has now drastically increased, and I pray for the safety of our troops in the region who have been put in harm's way. President Trump misled the country about his intentions, failed to speak to congressional authorization for the use of military force, and risks American entanglement in a potentially disastrous war in the Middle East. First, the Trump administration bears the heavy burden of explaining to the American people why the military action was undertaken. Second, Congress must be fully and immediately briefed in a classified setting. Third, Trump shoulders complete and total responsibility for any adverse consequences that flow from this unilateral military action. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, if anything, counterattacks or you know, one of these bombers blow themselves up, somebody dies, they're going to put it on Trump's. Vincent Oshahana said that definition of war. We're officially at war with Iran. They're still sending me the fake video. This is a funny meme. This meme here says, I'm done being an expert on tariff. I'm done being a tariff expert. Now I'm an expert in the Middle Eastern conflict. Pray for Iran. Oh my God. Somebody said pray for Iran and Candace Owens. Oh my gosh. Oh, we got to go full screen for that. Oh. Oh man. Oh. Let's see what else. What else? I might have to add that to the thumbnail. I don't know if I can pull it off. I might be able to do it. Just pull it out of the image and add it to the thumbnail. What else do we have? What else is breaking news? We're just killing time till Trump gets on. We got less than 30 minutes. Just getting everybody's reaction online. I mean, I really could just look in the chat, too. What else do we have? That was my voice there. Let me check out the chat.
Stop crying, lefties. Stop taking SSRIs. Oxygen deprivation has permanently damaged your brains from MASKS. The victimhood Olympics is over.
Always
Oh my
on high
God.
alert, but even more so tonight in light of this?
I would imagine it would be prudent
Chicago Hood.
for Israel, certainly as all of its air defense forces, but also to tell the population, you know, stay close to bomb shelters. And the Israeli population is really kind of attuned to this, and I think they would do it intuitively, even if they weren't told. But I'm sure they were told everywhere. You know, stay close to bomb shelters, be ready to immediately move. There's a very set way that they do this that really has been closely adhered to throughout the population, where they get the initial notice of a launch of ballistic missiles or drones. They get about a 15-minute notice, and based on everything I got, there's kind of like a almost within all the different Israeli families and households, there's kind of a procedure they sort of go through where they gather up certain things and stuff like that. And then it gets a lot closer, and then they get like a 2-minute warning or something, and that's where they go to wherever they got to go, their safe room or their underground, you know, bomb shelter, if you will. And that's what they do. And I'm sure that was disseminated. Definitely when President Trump made his announcement, that was probably something went out, would be my guess, telling people to do that. Although the reality is that at this point, the Israeli population is so well trained and conditioned to this, they don't actually have to put out an announcement. They kind of just do it automatically. They're already there. It's like, just keep doing what you're doing, is be the announcement, and they're already leaning forward in that direction.
Al, it's approaching.
All right, be
we're
right
about 25
back.
minutes away from when we
grab a little drink.
To speak. I'm going to ask you a question that I've already asked you earlier today, but we have lots of new viewers now, and I think it's important. What are you going to be listening for once the president speaks to the nation? Again, about 25 minutes.
Well, about two things, and we mentioned that we talked about this a little bit earlier. Two things I'm going to listen for is number one, which we're getting more information on, which is battle damage assessment. Part of that too, again, is we just got word on the nature of what was employed in these strikes. You know, the B-2 bombers with the GBU-57s, those massive ordnance penetrators, those 30,000-pound bombs. 6 of those were used at Fordow. That tells me that when that text went out saying that Fordow is gone, 6 of those things hitting Fordow, yeah, that kind of implies Fordow is gone. As far as any sort of nuclear facility or whatever, it is anything underground has been completely wiped out. And frankly, with 6 of those bombs going in there, my guess is anything above ground has been destroyed or decimated as well. So that's gone. Then the other one was, and this is where we're kind of speculating, which was what would they do? And we didn't know if they'd use other types of weapons.
If Trump would have chosen to give Israel $200 billion and invite Netanyahu to the Oscars to ask for even more money, liberals would be
I didn't know if
cheering.
they had significant underground facilities that would require something on the order of a GBU-57. Certainly a very capable weapon, but maybe not necessarily the weapon that I would use at those particular facilities. Well, as it turns out, as we know now, that they use the Tomahawk missiles to hit them. So I'm going to be listening to the battle damage assessment. Well, how much was destroyed? What was the scope of how they were destroyed? What has this done to Iranian capabilities going forward? I'm going to listen to that. Then the other thing we'll listen to very closely is what is our intent now? Is this way a proverbial one and done? You know, we did this massive strike. And by the way, we've done that in the past where we've done massive strikes, and then there's nothing else we do. That's it. That was to create the effects that we wanted. And in this situation, we may not have to do much because we do this. We brought in our unique capabilities that could do the things that Israel can't do. And then we pull back, and Israel just basically continues doing what it's doing and dealing with everything that comes after that. And that may be the plan going forward. And of course, part of that will be determined by what is Israel. I mean, what is Iran going to do?
Big news tonight.
As far as attacking our stuff, and
man.
whether Israel will have the capability to deal with that, or whether we have to step in and use our own sources, our resources, like those 2 carrier task forces and other things that we have in the region. That will be the other thing I'm really listening for. So basically 2 things: battle damage assessment, and where are we going from here?
Ever since October 7th, 2023, we've covered the Middle East almost on the daily here at Live Now. It starts with a Hamas attack on Israelis in southern Israel. We, of course, have watched the Gaza war play out ever since then. We've seen flare-ups between Hezbollah and Israel to the northern Israel, southern Lebanon. We saw the
I don't want to go.
Elimination
I don't want to wait.
Nasrallah. We've seen the Houthis causing havoc in the Red Sea in the background while all of this has been going on. And I'm not even mentioning all the years and decades of history before October 7th, Hal, as it looks like we lose our feed there. There's so much history in this conflict. It's such a complex conflict. Are we starting to get to the beginning of perhaps the culmination of this conflict now that we're seeing both Israel and the U.S. directly strike targets within Iran? Is that an idea that's on the table?
I would imagine amongst the National Security Council, that has been a discussion that has gone on for quite some time. Which is, you know, they have to look at the next, Trump. You know, what is the next step? What is going?
Let's browse. Let's see what else is going on, man. I want to see what else. Tagged. Mary Margaret Olahan. The United States gave Israel a heads up before the strikes on Iran took place. Senior White House official confirms the Daily Wire. Thank you, Lindsay. Okay, okay. Iran is saying, everybody watch out. Putting everybody on notice. All American citizens are on notice now. People upset with Trump. People mad at Trump. People happy with Trump. Mad. But you can't please everybody. I just hope there's no catastrophic, you know, like I don't know, retaliation, but you know, something happening after this because of this. Trump's Iran attack catches the world off guard after fake outs with B-12 flights. And everybody reporting on it too. The B-12's flying here, the B-12's flying there. I guess they knew everybody would be reporting on it. Fake out. Candace Owens' live reaction. I'm saying this, Candace Owens reacting live to the whole situation. By the way, if you've been on my website, I've been messing around with it, so it's been kind of up and down. It's up, but I've been fine-tuning it, rebuilding a bunch of stuff on there, so if you look at it and things are a little wonky, that's why. Kind of working on it. Trying to work on the SEO, and not only that, a bunch of stuff behind HTML, the script, all the stuff. Trying to fine-tune that, so just in case, just a heads up. I should check my emails too. Huge news. I kind of missed you guys, man. I mean, not that seeing you guys again after a bombing, you know, I don't know. I guess it is what it is. It's news. Fordow. During his address tonight, U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to say that he is not currently planning additional strikes inside Iran. Okay. Unless we have to. If we have to, we'll do it. Okay. From Iran, some page on X. This wasn't just a strike. It was a declaration of war, and Iran accepted it. There's a page on X. And, you know, all these people have pages now and stuff. So there's this page here saying they've accepted the war. Breaking Iranian television. Stay away from American bases. So now they're saying it's all-out war. They're going to be targets.
Other officials that came out in the last hour have been giving two information. One is that the sites have been attacked, but they don't go into much detail other than saying some damage has been done to Fordow, but not entirely destroyed is the sense that they're trying to give it. The other thing they're saying is that all nuclear material has been moved out of these sites already. So if Donald Trump or the U.S. administration was thinking that this is lulling Iranians into complicity. It seems that they were expecting this, despite the 2 weeks talk of 2 weeks diplomacy. They seem to have thought that any minute an attack could happen in Fordow, and so therefore they're claiming they have taken all nuclear material out of there, and they've then added that for that reason there is no worries about radioactivity from these sites that could jeopardize health of people who live in nearby cities.
And
so
Buckman, I
information might.
I just want to jump in on that because what we're hearing from
our partners at CBS News, as they are saying that America reached out to Iran diplomatically on Saturday to say the strikes were all it plans to do and that regime change efforts are not planned. So a sense there that the US, I mean, of course, we'll hear from President Trump in about 15 minutes' time, says that this is one and done.
Sure, and will that be enough for the Iranian regime to not, the government in Iran to decide not to retaliate? That's unclear. It's still a very humiliating moment for them, but it is very important that after a week of Israeli attacks, the public in Iran wants this to end. Hundreds of civilians have been killed by Israel. Israel has killed families. Entire families have been wiped out in residential buildings in the middle of the streets. So these are seen as horrific situation that is this only a 7-day war has caused. There, at least much of the public would be hoping that the government won't respond, so this ends, and there's a line drawn underneath it. So they would have to take that into effect as well, into the consideration as well. But they would also have to think about their supporters. They have talked about this nuclear facilities for years. They have spent tens and tens of billions of dollars protecting it, losing hundreds of billions of dollars in sanctions for it. So highest price have been paid, and if they're all destroyed, what do you have to show for it? And that could put pressure on them to respond somehow. But let's remember, the first term of Donald Trump, he attacked and killed a senior Iranian general. The response that came from Iran was missiles shot to a US base in Iraq, and that was the end. So could there be an understanding that Iran uses some missiles to show some reaction, but that doesn't go far enough for US to have to react again? That could also be a possibility. It has been.
All right. So, almost 10 minutes left to see Trump's address to the nation. I'm sure there's going to be millions of people watching to see what he has to say. I don't know why I'm wondering what Nancy Pelosi has to say about it. Or what about Maxine Waters? What does she got to say? I'm sure she's rolling over upset. White House. Laura's on.
The door's open if you.
Okay, she has the Fox plan. Okay. What comes next? What is coming next? Come on in. I learned about the Trump's unconstitutional attack on Iran. Imagine if Trump had to wait on these people to get approval to do things. Like if he had to sit there and like all the red tape or whatever.
This is a statement from Donald Trump, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran," etc. I agree. And I want to tell you something. Not only is this news that I've just heard this second alarming, that all of you have just heard, but it is so grossly unconstitutional. All of you know that the only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress. The president does not have the right.
That's Bernie Sanders.
And
Bernie.
part of the reason is because it goes to their core identity of what the regime represents. And I'm sure they're afraid that if they actually agree to this thing, it could be the tipping point where the regime no longer, is no longer in power.
We expect President Trump to address the nation in 10 minutes. I just got a new report in from Fox News's Trey Yingst. He put together this package. He catches us up on everything that's happened in recent hours. Here's Trey.
Yeah, Brett, good evening. This has been the talk of Israel for the past several days as the country waited to see if the Americans would get directly involved in the conflict. And even up in the last few hours, I was talking with current and former sources, trying to get an understanding of when this might happen. And at 1:55 local time, one source said rumors, Trump gave the word, supposed to be happening now. We were working on tracking it down, and the president taking to Truth Social to say the Americans did indeed strike 3 separate Iranian nuclear facilities, including the Fordow nuclear facility deep underground outside of the Iranian capital of Tehran. The bottom line here is that people are talking about enrichment. They understand that this decision was made because the Iranians were increasing their uranium enrichment capabilities and increasing the purity closer and closer to weapons-grade material. And the concern was that the Iranian regime was just weeks away from being able to build a nuclear bomb. We've seen over the past 9 days, the country has the ability to strike major population centers here in Israel with ballistic missiles. So you can imagine
Democrats
that having a
shouting
nuclear
no more
warhead
war while
that
they
could
cause a
ultimately
war
be
in our
attached
own
to a
cities
ballistic
attacking
missile
our own
would
military
clearly
is
be a direct
priceless.
threat to the Jewish state. And that was why the Israelis said that they made the decision to start these strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities and against top IRGC officials. And clearly tonight, President Trump ordering these strikes against the Iranian regime's nuclear program because there was no off-ramp for diplomacy at this point. And so this is a historic moment in the Middle East tonight, and again, an opportunity for the region, as the president laid out in his statement, for peace in the future, because this is a region that understands peace through strength.
Trey Yingst reporting earlier today with Brett.
So I have the White House feed already up, okay? So don't worry, we're not going to miss it. A lot of people are just waiting for Trump to, take the mic and talk. I'm very curious to see what he's going to have to say and the tone that he's going to take with it. Waiting.
Proper, 3 different places.
Well, first off, since 1979, this is the first time we've ever struck Iran, certainly in this way. We've actually launched these major strikes, Tomahawk missiles, taking out nuclear facilities, and then B-2 bombers, strategic bombers. And you got to remember, they're not just planes. These are planes that are designed to carry nuclear weapons. This is the plane that we use when Armageddon is upon us, if you will. They didn't have nuclear weapons, obviously. They had these unique massive ordnance penetrators that have been so much focus of interest, these GBU-57s that burrow deep within the earth to destroy these underground. Designed with places like Fordow, actually with Fordow, and some other places in mind. And it's this unique capability. Israelis don't have it. Nobody else has it anywhere in the world. Only we do. And the delivery system is a B-2 bomber. Again, the only thing that the U.S. has anywhere in the world. And we brought all of this.
Hate to say, but your vets are already struggling brutally. Does the U.S. really need more broken souls from foreign conflicts?
Now, that's pretty darn historic, because Iran has been playing with trying to build a nuclear weapon for a very long time, and for decades. And we have now kinetically taken that off. So that's very historic. It's also historic in that it's also opened up the possibility that the U.S. could get pulled into a war with Iran. That's historic. Some would say ominous that that's taken place, but it was a calculated risk that we assumed in doing what we did. And I think depending on what happens in Iran, depending on what happens with the regime there, the longevity of the regime there, historians may come back and look at this as a big turning point in terms of Iranian history. And by the way, if Iran ceases to be this nemesis in the region, ceases to be this fomenter of terrorism for not just in the Middle East, but terrorism all over the world, but particularly in the Middle East, this, that's been supporting all of these, extremist Shiite militia groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, was behind the perpetrator, was basically behind the October 7th attack being able to take place. If this is, and of course, not to mention the Houthis, basically stopping shipping in one of
You just posted this clip. Let's take a look at this.
You cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You cannot let it happen because bad things will happen if that happens. But everybody stopped. They were ready to make a deal. We would have made a deal that was great for everybody. No nuclear weapons. You can't give them nuclear weapons. Now they're going to have a nuclear weapon. Don't let Iran have nuclear weapons. That's my only thing I have to tell you today. Don't let them have it. They would have never had them, including Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. That's all. They can't have nuclear weapons. It's too destructive, too powerful. They can't have it. But I wanted to make a deal with them. No nuclear weapons. You can't have nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are the single greatest threat to this world, to the whole world. And Viktor Orban understands that, and some others do too. I just don't want him to have a nuclear weapon.
He's been saying the same thing for a very long time.
And they weren't going to have one, and they cannot have a nuclear weapon. That was the only thing. The one thing I said, you cannot have. I just didn't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I said, we're going to make a great deal. Everybody's going to be happy. You're going to be rich as hell again. Everything's going to be great. But you cannot have a nuclear weapon.
You can't let Iran have nuclear weapons.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. Instead, we have a very hostile country that wants nuclear weapons. Can't let that happen. The main thing is Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. That was my main thing. The deal was a simple deal. Iran can't have a nuclear, it can't have a missile, can't have a nuclear missile. It cannot have that nuclear capability.
Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. They should have never been in a position where they...
It's literally 16 minutes. 17 minutes. Of just clips and clips and clips and clips and clips and clips, clips on clips on clips of him saying the same thing. So there is people that are, very surprised and shocked by this. Oh, look, even with Aiden Ross.
Can't have a nuclear weapon. You can.
He's grossly incompetent, and he has no idea. Iran should never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, and Biden should never have allowed them to get this far.
They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. You cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. With Iran. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We hope we're going to be friendly, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. And we were all set to make sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon, because once they do, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different negotiation. I'm not looking to hurt them. I want them to be great. Let them be happy and good. But they can't have a nuclear weapon. And now they're very close to having one. And it's very dangerous for the world. Very dangerous for the world. I mean, the biggest problem today, in my opinion, the biggest risk is the nuclear weapons, the weaponry. It's so powerful today. And I want them to be a strong country. I just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon.
He's been saying this for years.
It's very simple.
Protect the USA and the world.
About impacting
you don't want
nuclear facilities?
You can't let them have a nuclear weapon. You have to understand, I didn't want much. All I wanted is you can never have a nuclear weapon. I didn't want much. I wanted Iran to be very successful. I just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon.
Right.
Because that's the real threat. The real threat isn't global warming. The real threat is nuclear warming. Okay? All I wanted was Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. I just wanted, that's all I wanted. Very simple. You can't have a nuclear weapon.
I am sure that some of the $200 billion that was laundered through Ukraine made it to their war efforts.
Nuclear
Democrats
weapons are the
crying
greatest
about war
danger
is
to our country
manipulated.
going forward.
I guess you get the drift, but yeah, it could go on and on and on and on and on and on.
Out of power, and they've aimed everything at the West. They've been anti-Western the entire time. And so that's what that is. That's what that regime is all about. And so right now, all the things that are underlie that regime, all the things that underlie has now taken the thing they've always pointed at is like, we might be able to develop a nuclear weapon. We might be a member of the nuclear club. We might be, quote, invincible because we have nuclear capability. That's what they've kind of held out for a very long period of time. Well, in one fell swoop, we went in there and eliminated their capability to do that, as near as we can tell right now. And that's going to have, along with Israel literally controlling the skies over Iran, that has, some significant impact on the ability of this regime to maintain itself in power.
Al, we appreciate your time. I will say that it's now 10 o'clock Eastern Time. We anticipate that the president will step up to this podium any moment now. We don't know if he's going to come out any second now, any minute now, but I'm going to keep you on the line here, Hal, until we see President Trump walk out. Let's ask one more time, what exactly are you going to be looking to hear from the president? This is going to be the first time we've heard him on camera since we heard about this. What we've heard from him on social media is that we have completed what he calls very successful attacks on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. That includes Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Hal, it looks like President Trump, Vice President
he's
Vance,
talking right.
In the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular
This is the Democratic Party's fault as Biden ignored Iran
Iran's
for
key
4
nuclear
years.
enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel. And God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Questions? No questions? Ooh, I thought I was going to have more to say. That's it? What the? Because Trump could talk. I'm surprised that was it. Wow. What the? Okay. Wow.
All right, there you have it. President Trump, in very brief remarks there, saying that Iran's nuclear program has been completely obliterated. Standing there, addressing the nation, behind him, Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and also the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks so much for being with us here on this momentous night in American history, and we're going to keep it going. We're also going to be showing you in replay that very speech in case you might have missed it live. We're going to be showing it to you throughout the course of the evening, also bringing on guests, experts, analysts to help us make sense of this particular moment in time in American history, in the history, the makeup and the shape, the dynamic of the Middle East. June the 21st, 2025 will be a day that is remembered as a huge moment for what happens going forward to the dynamic of the Middle East. And we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of you are probably asking yourself, now what? I think that's a safe question, an apt question to be asking. And the sun coming up now over the skies of Jerusalem. We also know that President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu were on the phone. The United States gave the Israelis a heads up that they were going to do this, and you can see there. In the meantime, speaking of the Israeli leader, we also got on social media a message from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as well, thanking the Trump administration. What we want to do right now, we want to show that video to you as well. Let's listen to this.
Netanyahu.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
I feel a little nervous.
Okay, so there you have it. That was the message from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanking the Trump administration in conjunction with an update on Operation Rising Lion that we have been following ever since last Thursday when I was on the air with you when Israel launched those preemptive strikes on sites in Iran here. So what we want to do right now, because there's a lot of moving pieces to this story, it is fluid, it is breaking, it is developing. If you missed it live, we want to play it yet again. This was very brief from President Trump here. Let's re-rack it. Let's show it to you in case you might have missed it.
It was very quick, too.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate in particular.
All right, so pretty brief message. I thought it was going to be more, but hey, I guess we'll see what happens. Is there going to be backlash? Is there going to be attacks? Will Iran come through on their word? Are there going to be sleeper cells attacking? Will our livelihood change? That was a really quick address. Douglas MacGregor. What did they say? They're calling for Trump's impeachment tonight? Oh, Lord. Yemen ready to attack all American ships and warships at the Red Sea.
وقاتلوا المشركين كافة كما يقاتلونكم كافة واعلموا أن الله مع المتقين صدق الله العظيم تأكيدا لموقف اليمن المبدئي والثابت في رفض العدوان الصهيوني على إخواننا في غزة ولبنان وسوريا.
Shipping lanes will be closed.
وأي بلد عربي أو إسلامي يتعرض للعدوان الصهيوني
And if you dare cross them,
كما جاء في بيانات سابقة
we will blow you to smithereens.
إن المعركة مع العدو الإسرائيلي المعتدي على إيران.
Israel, you will pay.
مع ما يرتكبه قبل ذلك من إجراء.
I'm just kidding. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. I don't know what he's saying. We need a translator. Yeah, they got this Trump talking on replay like 3 times already. So Netanyahu thanks Trump.
Might have missed it, saying that he and Netanyahu worked as a team, congratulating the Patriots who flew the bombers and the planes, congratulated the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Raisin Kane, and says this could not continue, saying we needed peace, saying also there are many targets left, say he will go after other targets if deals are not reached. And so yet again, as he has done throughout the course of this entire story, leaving the door open yet again to diplomacy. We'll see if that's actionable or operative at all in the wake of this. In the meantime, though, I want to go out to Capitol Hill. We have a live picture there in Washington. It's a little bit after the 10 o'clock hour there in D.C. Chad Pergram reporting this, that it wasn't only the Israelis that got a heads up. A senior White House official saying the White House gave a courtesy heads up to congressional leadership. That's, of course, Senate Majority Leader John Thune. That's, of course, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. And I would imagine the Democrats also in charge in the minority, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and also House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Speaking of Hakeem Jeffries, he put out a statement saying that Donald Trump promised to bring peace to the Middle East. He's failed to deliver on that promise. The risk of war is now dramatically increased, and I pray for the safety of our troops in the region who have been put in harm's way. President Trump misled the country about his intentions, failed to seek congressional authorization for the use of military force, and risks American entanglement in a potentially disastrous war in the Middle East. Jeffries says, first, the Trump administration bears the heavy burden of explaining to the American people why.
We got that already. All right, let me see if there's anything else. I just wanted to touch on that very big breaking news. Trump I'm surprised he said very little. Normally he has so much to say. Breaking news. I guess we'll have to see what the ramifications are on it. Saturday night. Let's see what you guys are saying. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. Thanks for hanging out. What's the fallout? You see Laura Luma live? Laura Luma. She got off. That was quick. The war room. What Alex Jones got to say about this too? Oh, she didn't say anything. Oh, okay. All right, let's see. I know Alex is always on 24/7. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She says she's citing a pattern of dangerous, unconstitutional behavior, as well as serious concerns over his recent actions in the office. This will be the 60th time the impeachment has been called for Donald Trump. Some are saying, Brian Krasentine says, this is not what I expected from the launch of the World War III Trump flank. Some people are saying World War III is coming. They're worried. They don't want to go to war.
Coordinated regardless in terms of what was happening there. But I think one of the biggest things there, and by the way, he did kind of illuminate the battle damage, if you will, in terms of how much destructive force was used. He basically clarified as if there was any doubt that the Fordow facility was gone, and that the other two sites were also, essentially neutralized. But the other thing was, what is the intent going forward? And on the one hand, he's handed out the olive branch, if you will, saying, look, diplomacy. At the same time, he's raised a sword of Damocles and saying, and I think he's made that very clear. And he's also said, not only is a sword of Damocles here, we have a list of targets that we're looking at. In other words, planning, preparation, the forces are in place, everything to follow up on that, which I have to tell you, when you're negotiating on the national security side of the house, it is good to have a very credible threat in hand to say, let's try and work this out, or here's the alternative.
Okay.
And I think we've removed all doubt that the U.S. will launch or do something because, well, frankly, we just did it.
Yeah. So Hal, I have to say there's kind of two thoughts in my head right now at the same time, maybe President Trump's too, is, he left open the door for diplomacy. He used the word deal again, but said if that is not operative, that there also is the door open for more strikes and more targets from the United States. And so I think a lot of people are asking, our viewers are maybe asking themselves, what next? Will there be more? Is that safe to ask that question, the uncertainty of that right now? It's kind of a wait and see, is it not?
I think it is a wait and see. On the other hand, that's a very legitimate question to ask.
Okay.
And what he has done is he has removed the doubt that the U.S. is prepared to do more than what we just did. The question is, was this a proverbial one and done? Was this going to be our sole thing that we were going to do in that conflict and then walk away? And he's left it open that, no, we're ready to do more. Of course, the other part of this is, what will be the Iranian response? Will they start targeting U.S. bases in and around the Arab or Persian Gulf? Will they, start doing some other things around the world using their proxy network or their clandestine network or something like that? What will be the Iranian response to this? And of course, that will help drive what our follow-on actions would be to counter that response and to deal with the nation state of Iran. Yeah. So Yeah, he's kind of left this wide open, but it's rather interesting.
Failed impeachment number 6,970. I know, right? Crazy. They're going to be pissed. Oh, wait till you see. Cenk Uygur says complete victory for Israel first over America. Here's what Trump said tonight. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team together. Cenk is not happy. He also included God bless America near the end of his speech. They're not even hiding it, that we're doing this war on behalf of Israel. Cenk is not happy. Oh no, Cenk. Cenky Cenk. So the supposedly the Iranian media is talking shit. Supposedly they're talking. Breaking. The Iranian state media has just released video claiming that the sites, only the entrance and the exit of the nuclear sites were damaged, which confirms that these nuclear sites exist. Uh-oh.
تنها بخشی که در سایت هسته‌ای فوردو آسیب دیده این تونل‌های ورودی و خروجی بودند و آسیبی به خود تأسیسات. تنها بخشی که در سایت هسته‌ای فوردو
You didn't do nothing, all that flexing, you didn't do nothing. You just got the entrance and the exit, according to Iran. It's a really cool video. Check this video out. This is how the U.S. Army bunkers buster is supposed to work on Iran's nuclear site.
At the moment, the penetrating bomb is dropped from the aircraft. It can rely on its powerful kinetic energy to continue drilling down in the direction of the sharp warhead, just like a nail being driven into wood, without detonating immediately. At the same time, because its casing is made of high-strength materials, it can protect the internal structure from damage during impact. In order to achieve precise strikes, the delay fuse at the back serves to delay detonation until the penetrating bomb reaches the set depth, at which point it will detonate the explosives according to specific instructions. This design not only destroys enemy underground factories or laboratories, but also minimizes excessive damage to surface targets.
Well, they were chanting death to America a long time ago, probably still to this day. Is this what you voted for, MAGA? Brian Krassentine says. Is this what you voted for? Look what you did. Disgusting. How would have Kamala handled the situation? What would have Kamala done? Sean Strickland says, Israel says jump. Trump says how high? Bibi Netanyahu has posted. Thank you, Trump. I appreciate you. R Finder says nuclear capabilities were wiped out. Also, there are many more targets awake yet. Oh, I guess that's it. Oh, this was earlier. They were saying pro-Palestine rioters have stormed Penn Station. This was crazy earlier today. I don't know how I missed this. How I didn't hear about this. insurrection.
Remember Reagan and Iran? United States, United States. Aloha Snack Bar.
Stick your cheeks. Thank you for the time. Appreciate that. John Cracker, how you doing? Oh no, you saw the Karen Reed stuff, didn't you? Thank you for the 20.
Waving hand medium light skin tone now. Thanks for making me smile with your lovely humming and the Wakadayolo accent heart exclamation.
All right, that was earlier today. There's supposed to be a part 2, No King's Day part 2. I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. It's July 4th, and then there's some other event. I don't know what they're having. Some other protest event. Let's see here. Israel liberals, after they just replaced their Palestinian flag with a Mexican flag, and now have to find an Islamic Iranian flag. You got a lot of flags to go through. You're gonna have to make a new flag with a combination of all the flags, I guess. Breaking. The White House has released photos from the Situation Room as strikes in Iran were unfolding. There's Trump. What a time to be alive, man. What a time. Enjoy it while you can. Enjoy while you can. I guess that's it for now, man. Thank you, guys. If something pops off, we'll be back. You know what I'm saying? We'll be back if something pops off tonight. I don't know if there's going to be some type of retaliatory attack. Trump said don't do it, or else. I haven't seen a video of the bombing yet. It's all been like fake videos and stuff. People have been posting. AI replacement technology. Bunker bombs. Ooh, Elizabeth Warren. The United States should not wage war against Iran. Donald Trump's bombing of Iran is unconstitutional. He's declaring war. Oh, I don't know, Missy. Maybe. Think Iran will do something for July 4th. I don't know if those sleeper cells are going to wake up or they're going to plan some type of attack. I don't think Iran has the juice, man. They don't got the juice. They just talk. All right, guys. Take care. I will catch you later. Love you guys. Love you guys. Peace. Take care. Bye. Thank you guys so much for tonight. Hit the like.